Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. Today, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something I've put off doing for a while just because of concern, but I'm going to try to put on clamp-on forks on our tractor bucket here on our old Kioti DK35 and just see how it goes. So come along and I'm going to share the apprehension, the fears, and the set of forks that I got. So some of y'all have been giving me grief for a long time. Every time you see me load a log or do anything with this bucket that requires moving material around other than dirt, you're like, you need pallet forks. Yes, I know. But here's the reason why. So this is a 2004 DK35 Kioti, and it has the KL1450 loader. I bought it brand new with it. And Kioti has changed a lot over the years, but this Kioti, been a great tractor, but I've always just noticed that the bucket metal is just thin. It's thin stuff. I mean, it's quarter inch at best, I believe. So my fear has always been damaging the bucket with forks, trying to lift something too heavy and end up totally screwing up the shape of the bucket face and ruining the bucket when it comes into the earthworks. In fact, you can kind of see here, there's a lot of daylight right there. so that bucket has a bit of a lip in it. Interestingly enough, it's just right there. So somehow over the years, I've put a high spot in the bucket. So it's lifted up there. So that's been my concern. That's why I haven't gone with the clamp on. But in my research and my communication with various attachment companies, some of you guys wonder, okay, Troy, how do you get these tractor attachments? Well, I start communications with these people. So I've got a set of pallet forks that they have, instead of just straight clamp on, they have some extra support that I think is going to justify the attempt of doing this. So let me get them out. Instead of trying to tell you about it, let me just show you. So you guys are literally going to unbox these with me because I have not even opened them up yet. You lost your fork in mind. Yes, indeed, I have. So the first thing I wanted to do was go with a shorter fork. That's going to obviously keep me from getting greedy and trying to fork too much. Try to lift up too much weight. So what you see here, I think these are 43 inch. And I got these from Landtop. That's a company I've actually worked with before. They're the ones that sent me the quick attach that I used earlier this year. Still use it all the time. You guys have seen that. But let me move these over to the bucket and show you the details again of why I liked this configuration. So I'll just show you a close-up. Obviously, this is the portion that slides in on the bucket. This is the clamp that clamps down on the face of the bucket. Even has some reinforced elements here with this pipe component. Let's see. So I'm just going to temporarily affix that there and put the other one in place and show you several of the features that caught my attention. Alright, so just going to put that loosely there. I have to wimp out and put some gloves on. It's cold, all this metal. Okay, so the first feature that caught my attention was this stabilizer bar element that gives you extra rigidity and helps you maintain certain distance of your forks. So instead of being two independent units, of course, it ties it all together and keeps it one consistent. Why is that so important? Well, I've seen with some of these forks that sometimes you pick up something and the fork wants to swing this way because you really only have a rear pivot point. So it makes it little wonky. This will, at least if it's going to try to pivot, it'll tie the two together. So it shouldn't scissor because of the way these plates are put together. So I like that. And that's going to give me some extra rigidity there. And of course I can determine the width, since this is adjustable, since this sleeve, or since this section of tube steel nests inside this sleeve. So it gives me a certain width here. And there is a method to my madness as to how I'm going to line this up, because it incorporates the other feature that I really like. So let's see here. Oh, come on, quit walking. So here's one of the key features that caught my attention, and full disclosure, I haven't really been researching pallet forks a whole lot, but this did jump out at me. So you can see here this keyhole looking slot, that is to put a chain into and then bring it up and latch it around, somehow chain it to your bucket to give it more rigidity. Well, it just so happens, I welded my chain hooks on my bucket years ago, and that's going to work out perfectly. And these line up actually perfectly with the hook. So I was like, "Ooh, okay, this is cool. This is somewhat serendipitous maybe." And so that chain will allow me to lock this in, and that will help a little bit with the flex. Now, the question will be is just how tight can I get that chain without some sort of binder element? And maybe that's what I even do as I go invest in a couple small chain binders, and the tiny ones that I can lock in place here if I'm going to be lifting a lot of things. Right now, thinking about certain size logs, picking those up and putting them on the mill, or moving lumber around that has already been milled, that's been stickered and ready to go into the shop or some other area of storage. So I've got an old log chain. It's actually a really, really long log chain that I found on the property decades ago. I mean, this is one continuous chain. This thing's a monster. And it's old in the sense that it doesn't have any ways to remove the hooks. That was built with the hooks were built into the chain, and it's just too long. And I've got tons of chain anyway. So we're going to cannibalize this guy. We're going to cut him down a little bit, and probably take something out of the center so I can add links to either end for hooks and have two smaller log chains instead of one big one. So let me go get the grinder and we'll cut some things off here. I'm so excited. It's my first time getting to use my new outlet that I put in when I wired the barn last month. Okay, so I'm going to just cut the middle first. And since we need two sections, then I'll just cut whatever length I need off both ends, because I've got the chain hanging over the bucket here. So this is about the center of what we need. Let's get a sacrificial board here. Don't mess up my brand new pallet forks. And yes, we're grinding outside of the barn because there's so much sawdust on the floor of the barn. It'd be a shame to burn the place down. Okay. Middle would be about right chair. I'll give you guys a close-up. You can kind of see how old this chain is. She's gotten a little pitted. So for a freebie on the farm, it ain't that big a deal. All right, so what we want there's definitely no stretch in this. All right, I think we'll give us a little bit of slack. bites nicely. Okay, so now we have 2 sections of chain. I've got some extra hooks in the workshop there. So now I have 2 smaller chains that I can utilize for various things. We're just making stuff around here, man. Well, this is the smallest binder I have, and it's going to be too much, I believe. But I think it may be worth investing in some. Yeah. I'll go ahead and put one of my other big ones on. I think the box stores, you can find smaller binders. I know I can get them online, but just trying to figure out how much this is going to benefit. So we're going to bind them down and we'll do a little forking around. All right, let's go. All right, y'all probably screaming at me. I just noticed it, so before I tore anything up. So my stabilizer bar across the middle, my initial instinct was to put the bolts down so we wouldn't interfere with anything I'm forking up. But when I do that, of course, that puts them in the dirt. So I'm not sure that's where we want them. I believe we want to go this way. That little fish belly, that lip on my bucket, is already causing that to be an issue. Making that fork higher, thus putting that stabilizer on there a little tougher. So I just noticed while pulling out that those chain keyholes are on the bottom as well. It's showing up in the camera. So you can bring your chain up and around your bucket and lock it in here. That's cool. So it has that option on both sides. I think I'll definitely exceed the bucket before I make the rear end come off the ground. So let's see if we can grab this light over here. Chain binder come loose already? It did. Alright. To remedy that. Those are always fun when they come back and crack you in the face. Definitely changes the physics a little bit. You can Troy, there you go. First thing you're going to do is bend it straight out of the gate because you're not using it the way you're supposed to. Pronounces our smiley face, or our frowny face, even more. Excuse me, you're in the work area. So the binders may not be necessary because they're actually creating my bucket frown. Timber, come! Hey, knucklehead, get out of the way. Making it more pronounced. Ooh, that was good. I should edit everything out up to that point, shouldn't I? Let's go and stage this closer to the mill. Right into the ditch. Clearly it's going to take a little bit of practice to not be an idiot. So this motion is definitely going to be harder on my bucket. I should probably refrain from doing so. In fact, that's what's making my chain binders come loose, because I'm actually bowing the bucket up even more. Yeah. So no forky backwards, always forky forwards. Forked that right up, didn't I? So moving logs and picking up sawed wood, taking wood from the mill to an air drying stack, or from an air drying stack to the barn, wood shop, whatever, is probably where I'm going to use that the most. And the plan was to come in here and scoop this up, but just 2 days ago, we had a massive windstorm. This pile of wood has been here for over 6 months, maybe even a year. Yeah, it was last fall. Been there a year. All the winds, nothing blew it over, and right before I decide to get forks and fork it up, it falls over. So, but anyway, we're going to stack some of this up and take it to the workshop, I believe. Take my stickers with me too. All right, so that's 16. I believe these are just under 12 feet long, and they are about 10 inches wide. Red oak. It's been air drying for a year. And you can see that my chains without binders have gotten a little tighter. So that means that that bucket is wanting to flex. The lip of that bucket's wanting to flex down, and the chain's keeping that from happening. We'll lift it up. You guys watch. See the bounce you're getting there. I'm not going to get under there, obviously, but you can see it's doing okay. It is stretching that snarl, that little curl up, down a little bit. And then the other side, that was more level, more accurate, is, yeah, it's got a little downward bow to it. So that's really going to be the question. Am I, by doing this with this much weight, I don't know, probably 516 boards at about 25, 30, I'd say about 30 pounds each, 300, yeah. So yeah, about 500 pounds of wood on here. Of course, the further away from the bucket, the more flex you get because of the mechanical advantage, the leverage. It is causing that bucket to bow a little bit. So I would say for our bucket, we could probably do light to medium duty work with this. Nothing crazy. But in the grand scheme of things, I guess it's better than nothing. All right, let's see if we can take this to the workshop. So any of that bounce should be bucket flex. Again, it's less than ideal. It's also less than ideal where some knucklehead parked beside the side. Shame my garage door's not 12 feet wide. Alright, so these plastic sawhorses I've had forever are rated to a maximum of 500 pounds. So we're just going to see. So the point in bringing these in is to let them continue to air dry inside the shop. Now that it's cold weather, I've got my heater going with a blower. So we're just trying to make sure we're in the teens, humidity-wise, or temperature-wise. Oh my goodness. We're trying to make sure we're in the teens with the moisture content of the wood. This will end up being, we're not doing fine furniture with it. We're actually doing some rough carpentry, maybe some millwork type stuff, long trim baseboard type of stuff, where in my experience, extra shrinkage once you get inside the house is okay. When you're dealing with something like baseboard and moldings and those type of things, it's only when we're doing complicated carpentry to shrinkage of getting down below that relative humidity of the house, that less than 10% comes into play. Well, I haven't heard any cracking noises yet. That doesn't mean anything. So if you're curious where I got this red oak, this was from a deadfall, wind damage last year from the top of the south ridge of the property. I did a video on it, actually collecting it. Easy, big fella. Cutting it to length. I think there were multiple logs out of it. So I'm pretty sure it was last year because it was fall. Gotta start writing the dates on these things. I guess I can go back to the video and that'll tell me. But really nice harvested red oak, pretty solid. Just a little bit of core rot in the first log, but was able to mill up some good 4/4 stuff. Like I said, link to the video here so you can check that out. All right, so my initial assessment is these are going to work for light, medium duty work. I think when it comes to putting logs on the mill, I can definitely use this. Probably going to be in that 20-inch diameter or less, which is a lot of what I mill. And of course, length will add to that weight. But I don't think the limitations are based upon the forks themselves. It's the bucket, the thinness of my bucket metal. Still have that snarly lip here, so I didn't pull that out. I guess I could actually be strategic in trying to lift things to pull that out. But having these keyway slots that can lock into my hooks up top really work well. That's going to keep the bucket from turning into a wide mouth bass. It'll keep it from spreading out too much. Definitely use it without the binders. One thing I notice is with the binders, of course, we're pulling that bucket up more, and potential of damaging the fork keyways. So you can see here, just the way Landtop manufactured these, they were anticipating some thicker plate steel at the cutting edge, because this barrel here is not even touching my blade, and that gap is about 7/8 inch, so it would handle much thicker steel with even the cutting surface, but this isn't even coming in contact. So the forks themselves have the ability to take material that's a thicker bucket, and with mine it's just not there. So of course, once we start to flex, we'll pull the chains tight, and then those will come in contact. So I believe that's going to add a little more functionality to the farm and help us do some things here in the log yard mill area, and just moving things around. Now I got to remember to sticker boards a little bit thicker, or at least in sections where I can easily get under them. That way I'm not doing all the manual stuff that I just did today. And looking at some pallets, like I've got hay back there on a 4x4 pallet. Looking at, with these shorter forks, would I be able to get back in there and grab those? Probably not. I think that's 43-inch total fork length all the way to the back of the bucket. So I believe we probably have less than 3 feet here. But anyway, that I could have ordered them longer, just wanted them shorter. I just wanted them shorter just to keep from tearing up my bucket. If you want to know more about Landtop, of course, I'll link below not only to this product but to their website. They do a lot of tractor attachments that aren't motion attachments, if that makes any sense. No rotary mowers, those type of things. A lot of fixed stuff, a lot of 3-point hitch things as well. And so far, I've been happy with it. The build has been good quality steel, and the welds are good, and things have held together. Our quick attach has been working fine. So I think it's good for what we need it to do. And I'm going to put it down because I know you guys will be freaking out that I'm leaving those forks in the air like that. Timber, hey, come. Good boy. Don't want to squish you, puppy dog. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. I pray you all have a great week. Take care.